For generations, the story was always the same. If you wanted to become a world-class doctor, you went west. You walked the halls of Harvard, Johns Hopkins, or Stanford. That was the dream, the only path to saving lives on a global scale. But over the last 2 decades, while the world wasn't watching, something quietly shifted. A change so profound that even American doctors themselves started to notice. Because the Philippines was building something powerful, not just a medical system, but a culture of healing, resilience, and deep compassion. And now, the children of American doctors are crossing oceans, not for a vacation, but to learn. To learn from Filipino professors, in Filipino hospitals, guided by Filipino values. At first, you can imagine the reaction. People probably laughed. Why would anyone leave the United States, the heartland of modern medicine, to study in a developing country? But those who made the journey found the answer, not in textbooks, but in the heart of the Filipino people. They found it in the genuine smiles of nurses, even after a 12-hour shift. They found it in the quiet prayer of a surgeon before a life-changing operation. They found it in the eyes of students who see medicine not as a career, but as a true calling. This is the story of how the Philippines became a home for healing. A story of discipline, faith, and a whole lot of heart. And why even the West now sends its brightest to learn from the Pearl of the Orient. For decades, the Philippines has been famous for exporting its healthcare professionals. Filipino nurses have long been the backbone of hospitals in New York, London, and Dubai. But what many didn't see was the foundation that trained them. The universities, the hospitals, the teaching culture was quietly evolving into something world-class. Institutions where medicine isn't just memorized, it's lived. Think about it from an American parent's perspective. They see their children facing staggering tuition fees, sometimes $60,000 a year or more, just for medical school. The debt is crippling. So, they start looking for alternatives. And then they hear whispers about the Philippines, a place where a top-tier medical education costs just a fraction of that, yet produces competent, fluent English-speaking doctors who excel in global licensing exams. They hear stories of graduates from Cebu, Davao, and Manila passing the rigorous U.S. medical licensing exam, often on their very first try. Suddenly, the decision becomes not just practical, but obvious. Let's send them to the Philippines. But this story isn't just about saving money. It's about gaining something priceless. It's about the unique sense of humanity woven into the fabric of Filipino medicine, a quality that can't be bought or graded. Here in the Philippines, medical students don't just learn about anatomy and pathology from books. They learn empathy from real life. They witness poverty and hardship firsthand, yet they choose kindness. They learn to treat strangers like family, like kapwa. And those values shape them into the kind of doctors our world so desperately needs. An American student once perfectly captured this difference, saying, "Back home, we study to pass exams. In the Philippines, we study to serve." That single sentence says it all. Because here, medicine isn't just a science. It has a soul. Walk through the corridors of hospitals like the Philippine General Hospital, St. Luke's, or Cebu Doctors University Hospital, and you'll see it every single day. You'll see the quiet strength of Filipino healthcare workers. They work long hours, often without the latest gadgets or luxuries, but never, ever without love. And that love transforms the learning environment. Foreign students don't just see diseases in a chart. They see the humanity in a patient. They learn how medicine must first connect with the heart before it can heal the body. This lesson is even more powerful in rural clinics, where the electricity might flicker and air conditioning is a distant dream. It's here that something beautiful happens. A child with a fever is treated with immense care. An elderly grandmother's hand is held with reassuring calm. A life is saved, not because of high-tech machinery, but because of high compassion. This is the classroom where American students say they learn their most valuable lessons. Lessons taught by the unshakable spirit of the Filipino doctor. Filipinos are known for their ability to smile through struggles. That same resilience is amplified in medicine. When others might give up due to limited resources, Filipino doctors push through. They find a way. They innovate, they improvise, and most importantly, they inspire. This is what many American medical families now call the Filipino difference. Because in these islands, students don't just learn how to cure a disease. They learn why they must care for the person. There's another huge advantage: the language and the warmth. The Philippines is the third largest English-speaking nation in the world. All classes, textbooks, exams, and hospital communications are in English, which makes the transition for American students seamless. But what truly shocks them is the warmth. Strangers greet them on the street like old friends. Professors become personal mentors, invested in their success. Every day, they experience the true meaning of bayanihan, that uniquely Filipino spirit of community and helping one another without expecting anything in return. It fosters a culture where success is a shared celebration, not a cutthroat competition. In the demanding world of medicine, this means students grow together, not apart. Slowly but surely, the reputation spread. From California to Texas, doctors began whispering to their colleagues, "Did you hear? My son is studying medicine in the Philippines." Soon, it wasn't a secret anymore. More and more Americans started enrolling in top medical schools in Manila, Iloilo, and Davao. They came back home not just with a diploma, but with a transformed heart. A heart that understood what genuine care truly feels like. One American graduate from the University of Santo Tomas put it this way: "I came to the Philippines for a medical degree, but I left with a deeper understanding of humanity." That's the powerful impact of Filipino medical education. It masterfully teaches the science of healing and the art of compassion. And it's not just foreigners who notice this. Filipinos working abroad proudly carry this reputation with them. In American hospitals, it's a common saying: if there's a Filipino on your team, the patients will smile more. That reputation wasn't built overnight. It came from decades of dedicated service, of warmth, and of quiet, consistent excellence. So when American families weigh their options, they're not just looking at university rankings. They're looking at real-world results. And the results are clear. Filipino-trained doctors are world-class, not just in their skills, but in their spirit. Let's be honest, the American healthcare system has its flaws. It can be incredibly expensive, impersonal, and often feels like it's governed more by insurance paperwork than by a passion for healing. But in the Philippines, medicine still feels fundamentally human. It's less about how much you can pay, and more about how much you care. That's what often shocks visiting students, that a nation classified as developing can possess such a highly developed heart. The world is finally taking notice. In 2024, thousands of international students were enrolled in Filipino medical universities. The Commission on Higher Education reported a surge in applications from the U.S., Canada, and Europe. With new hospital partnerships and state-of-the-art simulation centers, the Philippines is no longer just catching up. In many ways, it's leading, with heart, with skill, and with a profound sense of humility. But what is the true secret? It's the identity of the Filipino doctor, an identity shaped by faith, family, and resilience. They don't just heal physical wounds. They carry emotional burdens. They pray with their patients. They cry with them. And when they succeed, they give the glory not to themselves, but to God and to the nation that raised them. That is why Filipino medicine stands out. It's medicine with a soul. Today, if you walk into a classroom at UST, Davao Medical School Foundation, or FEU, you'll see incredible diversity. Students from Africa, India, Korea, and yes, America, all sitting side by side. They all came seeking knowledge. But they will leave with something more profound: humility, empathy, and a small piece of the Filipino heart to carry with them forever. As these young doctors return to their home countries, they carry powerful stories. Stories of studying by candlelight during a brownout, of patients whose only payment was tears of gratitude, of entire communities that survived because one doctor cared enough to stay. Those stories will echo far beyond these islands. They serve as a reminder to the world that great doctors aren't just made by advanced technology and billion-dollar facilities. They are forged by heart. So, the next time someone asks, why are American doctors sending their children to the Philippines? The answer is simple: because here, medicine still means something more. Because here, healing is still treated as sacred. Because here, in the beautiful islands of the Philippines, the spirit of care still burns brighter than ever. The world is finally realizing what Filipinos have known all along. The truest measure of a doctor is not in the letters after their name, but in the compassion within their soul. And in that, the Filipino will always lead the way. Thanks for watching.